So she was letting me know that, you know, there's a bunch of random dudes getting ready to stab this poor guy. Mm-hmm. And this guy wasn't only just making noises, like he was wearing a headdress.
Oh,
so
shit.
like, FYI, I don't know who all listens to this radio show, but this is very, very disrespectful. I know everybody sees this at least 300 times a year before Halloween, that like your costume, or my culture is not your costume. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, which
it really happens all the time.
Which, I mean, yeah, it happens every year. Which I ain't gonna lie, I like the outfit because it's kind of hot. But that's beside the point. But there's a lot of resi women out here that'll fuck you up over that costume.
Yeah.
Well, this dude this dude was wearing a headdress and he was making the noises and stuff in the middle of this bar, and Hellion comes up and tells me, she's like, "You're going to have to do something about this, or we're going to fuck him up." she had no intention of stepping out of this fight. She was ready. So me and my buddy, who I worked with for a long time, I was like, "Listen, we got to take care of this." And he was like, "Okay." So he follows me in there. We go talk to that dude, and I was like, "Listen, man." I was like, "I don't know if you know this, but what you're doing is considered very disrespectful. I don't know, like, you need to acknowledge this." He was like, he's like, "Oh yeah?" I was like, "You can't wear a headdress in here, and you can't make noises like from the movies you've been watching."
Oh God.
And he was like, he's like, "This is an America." That's where his first mistake. He's like, "This is America, and I have rights." I was like, "Yeah, you do." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well." He's like, "I can do whatever I want, and I can wear whatever I want, where I want to wear it." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm going to sell this to you short." I was like, "Yes, you can absolutely do all these things. You're allowed to do it. Mm-hmm. But I want you to take one quick glance and look around."
Now, when he says this, we see him look around. All of us standing there see him look around. And we're like, "Okay, he took care of it. You know, we're not about to do nothing. It's going to be settled right here."
So, dude looks around and he was like, "Well," so he's like, "Why are they staring at me?" I was like, "These guys are going to kill you." I was like, "I don't know if you know this." It's like, they consider this disrespectful and you're outnumbered. And he looked at me, sure as shit. He was like, "You got to protect me. It's your job to protect me." I was like, "No." And I started laughing. I was like, "No, sir. Absolutely not." I was like, "I gave you a strong warning about what your life is going to be like in the next 20, 30 seconds.
If you continue.
I was like, I'm protecting you now by giving you an out." I was like, "Take it off and leave." I was like, "But not to be a dick, once I stop talking right here in like 5 seconds, I'm going to turn around and walk away, and I've got shit to do in the parking lot." And
I don't even think I gave it the 2 seconds. I think as he turned his back, I like walked for him.
Yeah.
I was just like, no.
I'm pretty sure in her mind, she's like, "That motherfucker didn't do shit." It came up. She's
That's
like, "I'll
honestly
take care of it."
probably what I thought, no joke, because I was intoxicated. But I was like, "Oh no, sir, watch this shit."
So I'm like, "No, that's not what I meant by take care of this. Like, hold on, I'll be right there."
Yeah.
This is what I meant. Let me show you.
When it comes to shit like that, I don't have patience. So I couldn't put all those words into that the way you did. I would just go for it like you did.
That was the difference, though. I was working. So, like, I know stupid people come in there all the time. But if I came in there in the same setting that the Hellion did, like, if I would have been there drinking and having a good time with my buddies and whatever, I would have been just as pissed off. Yeah. Because, like, I would have been the one disrespected. Like, I was in a professional setting, so I had a job to do.
You have no choice.
Yeah, so that's what I did, was my job. But I think he learned I think he learned a better lesson by me.
It's actually funny. Even though all that had happened that night, the one person that I remember the most was my bartender that night. She looked at me and she goes, "And the only bitch here with all these men, and you be his ass?" And I was just like, yes, I did.
So I heard about it. Like, I left. Like, I was not, like, I ain't getting stabbed. Like, I'm not doing it. Because, like, I'll get stabbed just for protecting it. You know, like, if I'm covering up, I'm not taking those kicks to the ribs because I told you were a fucking dumbass. But it had already I had made it away probably 5 minutes. And then everybody down the line, they told me, he's like, chick just like hit that dude square in the freaking throat. Like, I was like, yeah, like I told him it was happening. I was like, he got off lucky, man. That's all that happened to him.
Yeah.
But what was
usually if I swing, I don't stop. Oh, yeah. It usually takes a few to pull me back. So he got lucky that night.
Because you just needed him to shut up.
Yes, I just needed him to quit what he was doing.
She said, holler again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I know after I hit him, though, I was like, wah, that. I was like, where's my beer?
Oh, my God. That's some of the most gangster shit I've ever seen. But no, I think, I'm not saying that it's like crazy here. Well, I guess I am a little bit but looking back at my childhood,
it's dependent on the situation.
Yeah.
See, growing up, fighting, I don't want to say it was a necessity, but like it was something that was common. Mm-hmm. Like I remember my older brother teaching me how to fight, but I got jumped. Like I got jumped one time when I was a kid. Right, mm-hmm. I went to the school next door, which was not our native school, mm-hmm. right? But I was native. But so were the kids that rode in my neighborhood because I got off the bus down the street. Mm-hmm. So there was a bunch of natives going to the white school next door, but naturally I'm whiter than all the other natives that I grew up with.
You're the native paper people. Like
that was always the thing because I grew up literally down the street from where we are now, and they're usually a lot more darker. Yeah. Actually, it kind of gets darker the further up the mountain you go, but that's but I remember every single day. I used to have to get off the bus, like in this neighborhood over here, and it wasn't a bad neighborhood. Like I had a lot of friends over here, but the people I rode the bus with were fucking assholes, and they used to jump me because I was whiter than they were. Like
that was an actual thing.
That was a lot of that back in the day.
Yeah, and here's the thing is I don't think my younger siblings, because I just got into it, or they just missed it. Like in today's generation, it completely blows my mind. Yeah. I was like, you don't understand what we went through,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. So like.
We were built for this shit, okay?
and to be native, like it was more than just like culture. Obviously, is a huge impact on like what you know, and then who you respect and what you do. But like earning your right to be something is huge here.
Yeah,
because if you
have to make a name for yourself. No joke.
Yeah,
I think any race is like that. You have to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
And if you were darker skinned, you fought white kids. Mm-hmm. But if you were lighter skinned, you fought everybody. Yeah. I remember this happened, and this happened for like 4 days straight. I was coming home, I was beat, and this last time, I remember my face was mauled up. Like it got to the point where they weren't even trying to hide it. Like they were just and I was taking it, I was fighting back, but they were older, they were bigger, and there were more of them. And I remember my brother like caught me, and he was in his 30s at the time, my older brother, and he had saw me come in the house, and like I remember being tucked over, trying to like not let him see what was going on, because you didn't cry in this household. That was not okay. And he looked at me. He's like, "Boy, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going." He's like, "I got homework to do." He's like, "No." He's like, "Come here." And he looked at me, and that's how he talked, just freaking aggressive all the time. And I walked over to him. He's like, "What happened to your face?" And I was like, "Nothing." I was like, "I tripped." He's like, he said, "Who the fuck?" He's like, "Who the fuck did this to your face?" Yeah. I was like, "Nothing." I was like, "It's fine. I'll take care of it tomorrow." He's like, "No, you won't." He's like, "I'll take care of it tomorrow." This guy was in his 30s. Because I say it like that because this shit doesn't happen. Like he would go to jail tomorrow if he did this. But back in those days, it was okay. He was waiting.
Mr. Miyagi did it.
I remember coming home from the bus that day, and I've never been so freaking excited to see my brother at the bus stop, because I used to have to walk home after I got dropped off the bus, and he was waiting at the bottom of the mountain, and he got on the bus, and I had this bus driver didn't give a fuck. Opened the doors for him. Opened the doors for him. My brother said, "I gotta get on that bus for a second. I gotta talk to some of these kids." And she was like, "Okay." Opened the door for him. He got up on the bus, and he looked around, and he was like, "Listen." He's like, "I don't know who the hell's beating up on this kid right here." I was like, "That's my little brother." And he's like, "If I ever see another bruise on his face again," I was like, "I don't care who did it. I don't care who didn't it. Every single kid on this bus is getting an ass whooping." He's like, "I will stomp every kid on here." I was freaking. But I got my ass beat by my brother for the next 3 weeks learning how to fight. That was worse. Like that was worse than getting jumped.
Yeah, I can remember my uncles doing the same thing to us. My uncles used to fling us around, and me and my sister were the only two girls.
So I had a theory.
So
I had a theory growing up because like growing up, I've seen women fight. I've seen my mom fight. I've seen my aunts fight, and all this other stuff. And I've got so many stories I can tell. We can do this for
right. We can do this for hours.
But I had this theory growing up. I was like, all these women fight harder than some of the men do. It's like, it's crazy. They know how to throw hands.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
And I was thinking in my head, I was like, why is that? And in my head, it's like, okay, all these women is somebody's brother and somebody's daughter. Because I had a sister growing up, and I also and I have a daughter, and I try in my head I was like, you know what, I would never want anybody to have the ability to fuck up my kid, so I'm gonna teach my daughter or my sister to fight and beat her up, growing up all through her life. So push come to shove, she's ever in a relationship, she'd fuck a dude up. So we just raised. Our generation was raised with a bunch of women that was like, you know what, you're not going to take no hits from nobody.
Big facts.
And then they become bullies.
I was never a bully, I just beat up the bullies.
I've said that my whole life, and now everybody's telling me I was a bully. But I know we got battered men's classes here on the res. I've never heard that anywhere else on the planet. Yeah. We don't hear about it because, A, we're not in them, but B, Who's gonna admit that they're getting the shit together?
See? Learn something new every day.
My uncle taught me a long time ago, if I was to swing on a man, I better be ready to get hit like a man. And I told him, I was like, if I can get hit by you, I can get hit by anybody. So I just opened up a whole new door.
You looked at it from a different perspective. Where you're like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna prepare myself to you know what? If he can hit, if I can take this, I can take anything.
Yeah.
When everybody else is like, just don't hit that dude. Wow, man, that's awesome.
God, no, okay, so it was different for you guys, but for me growing up, because I'm Asian and white, so the one thing my parents would teach me is if you get married, do whatever it takes to keep that relationship going. Stay with them. If they hit you, learn how to hit back. That's it. But make sure you stay together.
Oh no, for us it's like, you better beat the fuck out of my
Well, and traditionally, back in the day, back in the huts and the sweat lodges back in those days, throughout history, women were actually the ones that could call for a divorce. They were allowed to say, you know what, I'm leaving you for a better suitor.
Yeah.
Men couldn't do that.
That was they would put your moccasins outside the door.
Yeah.
And that was considered divorce.
Yeah. So back in the day, if they felt somebody what was a better athlete or a better hunter or a better, just all around better provider, they could just set your moccasins out and be like, all right, go find a new home.
So we weren't allowed to get a divorce. They either had to die or disappear.
I mean, that can be a rage.
I got you.
Seeing's got my wheels turning.
Oh, man.
But one of our episodes is going to be that it's not love. It ain't love.
Okay, so we'll discuss this. We'll do a sneak peek, but later we're going to do a new episode. It's called "It's Not Love Unless There's a DVPO," a domestic violence order for the people that don't know.
But it happens everywhere. It's really prominent in smaller communities. So my first ex-husband is how I really learned how to fight.
I learned from my brother, and then just kind of learned tricks along the way.
See, I had to take care of my brother.
Yeah,
so I fought for my brother.
See, that was different. You were a gangster before you even got married. You just honed your skills. That's different.
I got better and learned how to use my legs.
I'm the oldest on both sides of the family of all the cousins, and
But I've known you since we were kids. You were lining everybody out all the time.
I mean,
she had to. She was the oldest.
Yeah,
I had to make sure that everybody was protected, and that's still my job today. Even today. The family calls on me, so.
Well, and this same woman right here used to watch my baby, watch my baby growing up. She was. There's a handful of people outside of my family that I trust to babysit. it was never without a doubt that I'd leave my son with her. It was son with her, and everything would be fine.
Yeah.
He'd come home with a couple bruises, like I'd be like, "What'd you do?" But no. And
what did you do today?
I know you earned that.
How'd you get that one?
But I have mad respect. I have mad respect for the Hellion because she's always been a protector like her whole life. And, like she's been great about that kind of thing, and that's how I've always saw her. So like she's definitely got a special place in my heart, like until the day life ceases. But that's how I know her. So this is kind of one of the things. But so a lot of people look at that old culture, like we were just talking about, like getting divorced, and it was just that simple, right?
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, that's harsh, by the way. Like really freaking harsh, and not totally.
You be hiding your moccasins.
Yeah, right.
You be sleeping in your moccasins. Shit, throw me out today.
This is the wrong pair of boots, man. I got 8 more pairs.
That's like mine.
Dang.
But I remember, and I actually remember this story, and this was not a Rez family, but they were around enough of them to kind of get the gist. But I remember there was this dude that was dating this woman, and was like really, really, really into her, like really into her. And she used to like break up with him and date other people.
Oh God.
And then break up with him and date other people. That was a common thing. But he would get drunk, show up and pass out in the middle of the floor. And then she'd just wake up, step over, and just go on with her day. Yeah.
That was normal in our houses.
But I think the most gangster shit that I can remember off the top of my head, I wasn't even a party to it. I just heard the story, and it was one of my friends. And let me give you kind of an insight of what this woman's like. You know her. I can't say her name on the radio, but she's my aunt, and she lives in Birdtown. Like, okay, I really don't have to say much more. But anyway, she went to jail. She went to prison for a long. And one of her favorite stories is that she went to prison with Martha Stewart. She thought that was the coolest thing ever.
I think I would have been super excited to go to prison with Martha Stewart.
Yeah, she was so excited. She was like, she's pretty hard chick. She didn't take no shit from nobody. She'd joke around with me and play around. She's like, we'd eat dinner and make crabs and yeah, she'd talk about all the men that she used to just like fool around with and just leave on the doorstep. She's like, she didn't care. She's like, my new favorite hero.
Right.
But this woman came to the house one day. She'd started dating this new guy, and this guy was substantially younger than her.
Oh shit.
And she was a gangster like that. Yeah. I don't know how she did it. It was none of my business. I don't really want to know. But but she loved my mom. Like they were real close. And she came up and she was talking to my mom. She was like, "Listen, I just needed a place to just hang out for a while until my new boyfriend just like cools his jets and like settles down." And I've never seen this woman afraid of anybody ever. And she was like, and she was talking and telling me the story. And my mom was like, "Well, what happened?" I said, "We got in an argument. We were arguing for hours, screaming at each other. And you know what?" She's like, my ears started ringing. I got tired. I just freaking ran over and grabbed the skillet like I usually do. Grabbed the skillet and hit him right over the forehead. And that skillet broke in half over his forehead. And she said my mom's name. And she was like, "I kid you not. This guy didn't buckle, didn't fall. The skillet broke over his head. There's blood just gushing down his face. And he just stared." She's like, "I shit you not." He was just staring at me. And she told me, she was like, "I went over, grabbed my purse, and I was like, I'll come back when you calm down." I was like, Jesus.
Oh God.
Oh man, but that was probably one of the most intense things I ever. And like I knew that guy. I'd never seen him raise his voice. I've never seen him get mad. So like it's usually the real quiet ones. that is usually the most intimidating. Like when they make that ground that stand, that's the ones you gotta worry about like fucking your world up.
Yeah.
I was actually friends with her son, and that's how I met her. But I've heard stories, but whenever I met her, she was like super nice, super hospitable.
Oh yeah.
The few times I did meet her, but I was expecting something else. But she was really cool, really chill. Then I heard the Martha Stewart story later on.
Oh,
down
yeah.
the road.
I got a story about her son, because that was my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll tell it on Sheriff Justice.
Sheriff Justice.
We've got another episode dealing with cop stories, and it's one of my favorite stories. But you're gonna have to stay tuned for that episode.
I got a real good one for that one.
You know the same
you
dude,
know you're
though.
coming back then.
You know the same dude.
I got a real good one for that one.
So a lot of good stuff coming your way, guys. But another thing that we wanted to touch up on here on the Res. Have you ever had this thing where you punk somebody, you like get nose to nose with somebody, you stare them down, and you wait for the next person to either throw hands or back up?
Probably more so whenever I was drinking real heavy.
Yeah.
I had some stuff I needed to work out. And I was a bully there for a short period.
All right. Well, I remember I've been in a lot of situations, especially younger, because we used to play basketball all the time. We used to play die, which means you can tackle somebody. You just try to score. Like, you just throw the ball. There was a point in time at, like, midnight, you just throw the ball up, and if you heard the net, you're like, oh, yeah, I made it. But, like, you could tackle people, you could throw punches. Like, that's how we played basketball.
Stick ball. No.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We called it barnyard.
So we called it die. Because that's what we felt like doing when the game was over.
Yeah.
But, like, there would be some point, there was no rules of this game, but we would call somebody out eventually over there. It'd be like, oh, that was a foul. Somebody would get mad and be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, there's no rules. I'm like, no, that was a bitch move what you just did there. So, like, we'd get nose to nose to nose. And we'd wait, like, and if somebody threw hands, you know, like, and then you just fought it out. But I think it's not a fear. It is definitely an acknowledgement. Like, I think there's a lot of thoughts that go into mine. Unless you just go out wailing. Like, if you're nose to nose and you're having a conversation, like you're trying to punk each other out, I feel like you have a series of steps that's going on in your mind. In my mind, and when I do it, I'm thinking, okay, I know this guy. I beat him up every single day of his life. He beats me up every single day of his life. We start fighting now. This will go on for weeks.
Right.
So is it worth it?
Oh my God.
So, and I remember, that's a continuous thought that's went through my head a lot. Like, I've been nose to nose with a lot of people, and we've all, like, either equally back down or they would, like, bitch out. But, like, I would hold my own until either they step back or they'd step in. Like, and that was a common thing. I think everybody weighs out the pros and cons and sees if it's worth it. Because I feel like as a culture, we're meant to take some ass beatings.
Yeah.
You kind of have to grow up.
Yeah. Like, I remember having my stepdad, and I remember having, like, and my older brother and all that stuff. Like, you got tortured all the time. And kind of growing up, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was just kicking the shit out of my kid. Like, no, I say it like that. But, like, I beat up on my son all the time. And then when my cousin's in town, like, he's in the Corps, he comes in, and when we're all three together, my son is terrorized.
Yeah.
Because we just hold him down and torture him for hours.
Right.
And we laugh about it all day long. So, like, I feel like that makes great men. I feel like that's the recipe for great things. But, and I was thinking about, like, random things. I remember getting in a fight over the Backstreet Boys.
God.
Let me reiterate. It was in their prime. Like in the night.
That makes a huge difference.
But I remember this dude, and I was just being an asshole. I really was being a bully that day, but I didn't like this kid. And he was, like, really jamming out, like, really into listening to the Backstreet Boys. Like, cranked it all the way up on those boom boxes that we used to have back in the day. Yeah, you still had to plug it in so we get an extension cord.
What was the Bluetooth?
Yeah, Bluetooth was non-existent.
Right.
We had CDs that skipped. It was great. And this kid was just blaring out the Backstreet Boys, like, just freaking killing it. And I started laughing. I was like, what a fucking homo. I was like, you're gay. You like Backstreet Boys. And he was like, they're not gay. And, like, he got mad about it. And I was being an asshole. And he was like, and I was like, yeah. I was like, and if anybody's ever seen Joe Dirt, there's that phrase that is like, oh, you like to see homos naked?
Yeah.
I was laughing because I thought you were defending Backstreet Boys.
No,
That's what I thought too.
Did it?
No, I was actually giving him some leeway.
I thought it was like you and like an NSYNC fan or something.
It was so much worse. I was a Kid Rock fan.
Speaking of Joe Dirt.
Yeah, right. But like, there was that one scene where he's like, oh, you like to see homos naked. So, like, he would get pissed off, and I'd be like, no, man, it's cool. I was like, you like to see homos naked? I get it. Like,
$20.
Like, and I was just, I freaking antagonize him. And then he started wailing on me. just like throwing punches. And like I was laughing so hard because he was so mad about the Backstreet Boys. And like I just kept saying it, like my face was bloody, and I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, "Oh no, man! Like you like him swinging? That's cool." Like, I
Oh, that's messed
but
up.
I remember doing that a lot when I was a kid, just like because I could take a beating, it never
Right.
fazed me. So I think I think that was a lot of one of those freaking But I don't know, like I don't know the whole scenario without. I still think I still antagonize people to an extent on that, but people are a
Picking
little
on
bit.
people.
Well, I ain't gonna lie. Like, this is not one of those where we're gonna bash
Yeah.
like certain demographics or whatever, but I do give people
I mean,
hell.
I've picked on my fair share of people.
Yeah. Well, and I picked on bullies. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she defended a lot of people. I, on the other hand, would pick like I felt that this is where I found out that I was a bully. She would protect people.
Mm-hmm.
I would find bullies and find their insecurities and terrorize them over
Yeah.
and over and over again. And like I would bully bullies. Like that was my
Me,
favorite
I would
thing.
just fight them
Yeah.
and just get it over with.
Yeah, she'd
I
fight
would
them
just
and
beat
get it
ass
over
and
with.
get it over with.
But I'd be like, dude, and back then, like back then in the '90s, like being gay was like you fought over that. If somebody said you were gay, you threw hands. Like, and I did it all the time. Like, like I come up to kids and be like, dude, you know why you're angry all the time, right? And they'd be like, what? Like, what do you mean? I'm not angry. I'm like, yeah, you know why you're picking on that little kid? It's because you like him. Like, I was like, you like him, man. He's a cute little kid, man. Like, just like, and he'd get pissed off. He's like, I don't like dudes. I'm like, I think you like dudes. I was like, have you ever tried?
I can see it.
It's like,
Have you tried picking on a girl?
like Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure, whenever they get happy, they jump up and hug
Yes.
each other.
Yeah.
And then they push each other away and be like, fine. And now it's edited out. You know?
Yeah, it is.
I
Yeah.
was in. If you ever listen to like Joe Rogan stand up, and like there's a lot of comedians out there, but he's got a specific stand up, and he's like, I don't care. He's like, I got friends that are gay. He's like, I don't care if they're gay, blah 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 blah. And like, and it's the same scenario here, but he was like, you can't use the word gay to describe certain things. And like you listen to him talk, and he's like, "Well, how the hell do I describe gay shit?" he was like, "I've got a big," and you listen to it, like, for real though, for real. Growing up, I used to say so much. I used to say so much as gay.
I was ruining your computer.
Well, he gave a really good example. He was like, "I've got a cat." He's like, "I've got a really, really big, fluffy, white cat, and it has a necklace." He's like, "I love this cat." Gay. so like I get it. And when he's talking, and he talks about wrestling, everybody. I grew up. Everybody loved wrestling.
Right.
Everybody loved wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the math. You see two big dudes.
Oh,
in
man,
any other, in any other setting other than that ring,
And spandex. And
In
spandex.
spandex.
gay.
Okay, yes.
I mean, you got sumo wrestlers in diapers.
Right.
Gay.
Gay.
Right.
So right, it doesn't. It's not a bad thing. You can like gay shit. It's still gay. Like it's not a bad thing. It's just like I hate that word is
I like the Elton John remix of that new song.
gay.
Gay.
That's great.
You got jokes.
Yeah, that was good. That was like never mind. We're gonna get canceled very soon. So let's look this one up.
Say, no Didi.
No. Yeah. Oh god. No.
Yeah, we get canceled.
No. Yeah, we're good. No, all in good fun though. Like we don't discriminate. We don't hate other races or whatever. This stuff is just to show you what our life was like growing up. And honestly, that whole scenario is something that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Like that's a real thing. And granted, I know people get hated on because of certain things. We're not hating on anybody in here because of certain things. We just pick on people. Like, this is what we do. And
that's the culture too.
Yeah, and honestly though, and I think that's in all reservations.
Well, I always think of the story that the soldiers that were doing the Trail of Tears removal, they said even though it was like the most miserable time for the Cherokees, whenever they would stop, the Cherokees the whole time wouldn't make eye contact with them, wouldn't acknowledge them. But whenever they would stop to rest for the night, the Cherokees would gather amongst themselves around their fire, and even though they thought they would be miserable, they spent the night laughing, because no matter the situation, you're going to find something to joke or laugh about.
Oh yeah, or and Tara, that's actually funny that you bring that up. So I've got a friend. This is my white friend. You know him. You haven't talked to him in a long time, but you know him.
Oh God.
So he's my white friend, and literally calls me every single day, every single fucking day. And 90% is, until he had actually got a job for the tribe here for a little while, but until he actually got that job, his first question every single time he called me up, and he was like, "Hey man, you're native, right?" And then asked me the dumbest fucking questions, just every single time. And that's just been our relationship. But we pick on each other all the time. Like, I make fun of him for eating beef stroganoff, or freaking not being able to catch fish, all that stuff. And then he'd offer me blankets.
Again, gay.
Oh, but
40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
I know you're gay.
See, that was a good childhood game. Yeah, we used to do that shit all the time. Oh, but anyway. So, but coming back to that, I give him hell, but we've been friends for over 20 years, and it's because we picked on each other. Yeah. But we were mean to each other, and I was mean to him. I was very stoic when I was a kid, and when I first met him, I wouldn't say anything to him. So we used to fight. There's the details don't matter, but we used to fight continuously until we were best friends, and we've been friends for over 20 years now, and we've been like this for decades, and we still harp on each other.
Sometimes you gotta fight things out.
I feel like that's what makes you best friends around, and especially here on the reservation. Oh, yeah. You take it out. I've seen so many fights start, finish, and end with two dudes just laughing hysterically when the fight was over. I've seen that so many times.
You be drinking again the next day together.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. It's that's my cousin. We do this every week. Well, guys, thank you so much for this episode. This was a blast. Can't wait to see you guys next week. We love you. Until next time.
So trying to be sweet, sitting at the bar, having a few drinks, hanging out with people. And this man goes by and starts making noises like he's an Indian or native.
But he's white.
He's white.
I remember where he wore glasses and was red-headed, white.
Yes,
oh God,
white man. And he's going through making noises, and I turn and look at him like I know I'm really not hearing this. And then I notice everybody else, all the skins turn around and they're looking at him, and they're like, "For real? Like you're gonna do this in front of us?"
Oh, shit.
So me being a nice person, I walked over to the bouncers and I was like, "Hey, y'all better make him quit, or I'm gonna make him quit." And they was like,
"That was her."
All right, nice. We got this. That was me being nice. He got a warning. After they had approached him and told him, he better stop, better quit doing what he's doing, he continued to do it. And then I got up and just walked over, and I was just like, "Bow!" and punched him right in his throat. And I was like, "He'll quit now."
So there was a little bit more. There's a little bit more to that story.
See, I'm trying to be nice right now.
Okay. She was trying to be nice. I'm gonna tell the story how it really happened.
I'm not even that bad.
So, yes, that was her being nice. Exactly how she told it. She came up to me because she knew who I was. We grew up together.
Yep.
We went to school together. So she came straight to me and she was like, "Listen, I don't know if you know," because I was watching the door, and he's like, "There's this dude in there, this red-headed white guy, just hooting and hollering like he's native, and there's a bunch of people in here that's really they're pulling knives, they're ready to kill him. I don't know if you know." And
like he's about to get slayed.
Guys, welcome back for episode number 4. Res Rat Radio. Let's see how this turns out. Today we're going to be talking about today's episode is going to be Get In or Bitch Out, Fighting on the Res. You guys did the poll and voted, and we appreciate you guys reaching out. We decided we're going to give you guys what you want. You know your hosts, Lily Lavender, Jay Bird, and we got some new voices here today. It's Cobra Bird and the Hellion, and we can't wait to see what kind of stories comes out of this. We got some real original gangsters and some semi-new ones.
No, he's original. How old are you?
Yeah. I'm new at heart.
You're new.
Whatever. I'm good. I got some stories here and there. We'll see what happens. So we're going to talk about different things and different situations, stories that we've been through, and I've heard a lot about Cobra Bird, and I've been involved with some stories with the Hellion, and
Dang.
so,
Yeah.
and I guess we'll start it off that way. I remember because it's fresh on our mind. We were talking about it. I used to bounce at this other bar back in the day, and I remember doing the door. I was doing check-ins, so we only allowed so many people to come in.
Yeah.
And I remember Hellion coming up to me, and she was like, "Listen, man, you're gonna have to do something about this situation." And like she came up and told me about it. And what was going on?
I try to be sweet at first, but there was a gentleman come through and he started